Hello, and welcome to Plants and Python command line lesson. My name is Alejandra Rougon, and I am a professor at the Agrogenomics Department at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM campus en Es León. This unit is divided into 9 lessons containing 9 videos and 1 notebook. In this unit, you will learn how to use the basic bash commands in a Linux command line while you practice at a virtual terminal. You will also learn to recognize the most common biological data formats, and you will practice some biological data mining. At the end, you will find a final exercise where you will be able to challenge yourself by applying what you have learned. Try to follow the exercises on your virtual terminal as you go along with the videos. Feel free to pause the video, rewind it, or change speed as needed. But most importantly, have fun trying new commands and discovering their functions. Let's start with a brief introduction. In this introduction, you will learn what is a Unix command line interface, what is a shell, how to access the terminal in different operating systems, and how to use the virtual terminal. Unix is an operating system that originated in the Bell Laboratories at AT&T in the 1970s. It is written in C language, and its philosophy is make each program do one thing well, write programs to work together, and write programs to handle text streams, because that is a universal interface. Several operating systems have been developed that are Unix or similar to Unix. Some examples are Linux, BSD, which is the Unix system from the University of California, Berkeley, Mac operating systems, Solaris, HP UX from Hewlett-Packard, AIX from IBM, and even Android and PlayStation 3 and 4. In bioinformatics, most of the software runs on Unix-like operating systems through a command line interface, also referred to as terminal, console, or command prompt. These terms actually have some slightly different meanings, but they all refer to an interface where the user can type commands as opposed to a graphical interface where you have buttons, icons, and images to click on with the mouse. The shell is the interpreter that translates information from the command that the user has typed in to an action. It is the program that allows the user to interact with the computer to run other programs. There are different shells available. These are just some of them. The current most common shells for Linux and Mac operating systems are Born Again Shell, which is usually called Bash, and Z Shell. Both are quite similar. Bash is by far the most widely used shell. Z Shell comes as default in the recent Mac and some Linux operating systems. It has some extensions such as spelling correction and some automations. For the purpose of this course, we will use Bash. In Linux, there are different programs that you can download to run a command line. The default program is called Terminal, and you can launch it by pressing Ctrl-Alt-T. You can also look under Accessories in the application menu. In Mac operating systems, the default program is also called Terminal. You can launch it by looking at it through the Spotlight search. You just have to click the small magnifying glass icon in your menu bar and type Terminal. You can also find it in the rocket ship icon or in the application folder. Windows is not a recommended operating system for bioinformatics. However, there are several options for using a Unix-like command line. One option is through a Linux installation. This can be done through a virtual machine, which is a program that can install another operating system inside the current one. Another way is through a dual boot. That means that your hard drive is divided, and in one partition you install Windows, and in another one you install Linux. Then you can boot with either of them. Another option is through a Linux Live USB. This is just like a temporary installation. You cannot save your work. And when you remove the USB, Linux will go away. In the recent version, Windows 10, you can install a Windows subsystem for Linux. You can also work on Windows through a Linux emulator. such as Cwing. On Windows 10, there is also a shell called PowerShell, which is similar to Bash, but not quite. With all these options, you could be able to connect to another server to work remotely. For example, to work in a bioinformatics high-performance computing cluster. However, there is a program for doing just that called PuTTY. For the purpose of this class, we will use a virtual terminal from the CS50 sandbox for you to practice. This will allow us to have the same operating system, which is very useful for didactic purposes. In this introduction, you have learned what is a Unix command line interface. You also learned that the shell is the interpreter for the commands typed in by the user, and that among the different shells available, Bash is the most widely used shell. You've also learned how to access the terminal in different operating systems, including a virtual terminal.